Well. Look who couldn't bear to show his face here this week, Sean.
Hey, well, last week we talked about levels.
Yeah.
I guess United caught their levels with Southampton, and I guess Chelsea caught their levels with Southampton.
This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League. It's generally from, 3 or 4 friends who support different clubs. Today it's just two. It's just me. My name is James. I support Arsenal. That is Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. We should call this the North London Red Card Radio edition. Before we dig too deep in it today, of course, this is the review episode for the week. We got match week 4 that we'll go over, and some of the games from the 5th match day have started, so we'll talk about those as well. But before we dig too deep into it, if you're new here, if you're just if the algorithm bless this podcast on your algorithm. If you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button after you finish watching, leave us a comment in the middle, wherever. Share it with a friend. These are all things that we really would help us out. We're still trying to grow, and we would love to have you in the fold. So let's get into it. So match week 4 and part of match week 5. So match week 4 kicked off Saturday morning. Southampton were hosting Manchester United. Manchester United get the 1-0 win away to Southampton. Brentford and Everton played to a 1-1 draw. Brighton welcomed Leeds. Brighton get the 1-0 victory. Chelsea were down to 10 men after about 30 minutes in their match against Leicester. But the 10 men of Chelsea actually get a 2-1 victory over Leicester. That is... we had this conversation last week about managers that are on the hot seat, and I'm pretty sure someone mentioned Brendan Rodgers. Maybe he'll be the first to go in the Premier League. I guess we will have to wait and see. Except for the fact that Liverpool destroyed Bournemouth 9-0, and that resulted in Scott Parker getting fired. So I guess that conversation was for
I
naught.
got a, I got a Buffalo Wild Wings bone to pick with that, but we'll get to it a little
Yeah,
bit later, I believe.
we definitely will.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah,
Maybe tomorrow we'll
maybe
get.
in the news episode. Manchester City were hosting Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace got up 2-0 in that match and proceeded to lose it 4-2. City get the 4-2 victory. Arsenal
Ooh, Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed about that one. Arsenal hosted Fulham in the London Derby. Arsenal get the 2-1 victory. Hard fought game. They were down at the beginning of that match. Sunday morning, Aston Villa hosting West Ham. West Ham get the victory, their first points of the season. Wolves hosting Newcastle. That game ended in a 1-1 draw. Alan St. Maxim had an absolute stunner. And then to round out match week 4, Nottingham Forest were hosting Spurs. Nottingham Forest lose 0-2, so Spurs get the 2-goal victory. And then kicking off there's been 4 games that have been played so far in the 5th game of the week of 5th
Match week.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm not really sure how to what nomenclature we want to use for that, but it's the 5th.
Hey, listen, we're
match
not
day.
we're not on we're not on COVID times anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not somewhere between match day 24 and 23 until Arsenal decide maybe we don't want to play this week, and we'll reschedule it for May.
I see what you did there. Okay, but Palace hosted Brentford. That game ended in 1-1 draw. Fulham were hosting Brighton. Fulham get the 2-1 victory. Southampton host Chelsea. That's 2 tough games in a row. Chelsea, they got beat by United. They did not get beat by Chelsea. They beat Chelsea 2-1. And then rounding out today's games, Leeds and Everton played to a 1-1 draw. So quickly pull up the table as we are accustomed to doing, even though I will say that the table is completely worthless for the next couple weeks. But Arsenal are still on top in first
Here's what you
position.
could have said to Brad
Yeah.
is that we didn't invite him because you have to be in Europe position to and be invited to this podcast.
I mean, I guess a couple years ago that would have excluded me then.
Or he could have got levels by a team that's beating him on goals forced. It is down. It is down to that tiebreaker because
Yeah.
their points are the same, their goal differential is the same. Southampton is only in seventh based on goals forced.
Goal. Yeah, They've scored more goals. Yeah, by one.
Yes,
Okay.
which they got today.
Yeah. So okay. So first position, Arsenal. Second is City. Tottenham are in third. They all still have yet to play their fifth game. Brighton are up to fourth. Leeds are in fifth. Fulham are up to sixth. Southampton leapfrog Chelsea into seventh. Chelsea dropped to eighth. Brentford are in ninth. Newcastle rounding out the top 10. United are up to 11th. Liverpool are in 12th. Palace are in 13th. Nottingham Forest, Everton, Villa, West Ham. And then in the relegation positions are Bournemouth, Wolves, and Leicester. Both Wolves and Leicester have yet to win a game, as have Everton. So, yeah, that's where the table lies after these games have been played. This is going to be an awkward transition. If you're on YouTube, I apologize. There we go. Perfect. We're back to it. But yeah, so that's where everything lies we are.
This is where we start forming right here. I know you say till week 10, then you can start taking it seriously. This is where you start forming because we're entering now that we're at 5 and we can fill out our last 5 and what the team form is. Yes. You could start to get a feel of all right, what team's vibing, what team's not, what's not working so far in the season, who's going to make changes. Obviously, we saw last year, Newcastle can completely flip a table.
Yeah.
Even if the table's been decided, they can flip it back up and almost finish in the top 10. So it's not over for these people, but this is where you start to really see where the tiers are, who's doing good, who's like Brighton's still pulling points.
Yeah.
So, you get those indicators of all right, Brighton's probably going to be challenging for Europe if this keeps going.
I think the forum comment is pretty apt in that you're going to start to see trends: who's confident, who's not confident, things like that. And I think that goes a long way to kind of inform maybe like the next month or so. But I mean, like looking at how many teams could be. So I mean, okay, I guess it's just Tottenham or City could be first. Tottenham, Arsenal, City, or Tottenham. All three of those teams have the ability to be first. No one else can be first after 5 games, things like that. But like, I think it's more true for like the lower half of the table. If you look at what separates Liverpool, who are in 12th, and Wolves, who are in 19th, it's only 3 points. So like, there's clearly a lot of volatility in that.
Yeah.
In that sector. But I think to your point, I really like the idea of like it starts to establish form and confidence and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Brighton I'm singling out because they're picking up 10 points out of their first 5 games. I said it a week or two ago. That's huge for them. That's good. That's big points later, or it's indicating to us right now that they're going to be maybe challenging for 7th. Maybe they're trying to sneak into that spot.
Yeah, I definitely think they can feel confident. So
especially with West Ham and Leicester, who have occupied that spot for a while, maybe that's a spot they sneak in. I say for a while, trying to cover up for the fact that we were there 2 years ago.
Yeah, same.
For a year or two. Yeah, maybe they're like, hey, let's give Europe a try. Let's see what's going on over there.
I mean, I'm sure. Like, I definitely believe that those, like the Brightons of the world, they would be ecstatic with a 7th finish. That would be a phenomenal finish for them.
Yeah.
So
they'd probably be like, oh crap, we need depth. We've never needed this much depth in our life.
Yeah, I mean, the world changes for you as a football club, and you add in that extra competition.
Yeah.
Let's I think
what we got this week.
I think since we haven't talked about Arsenal too much over the last couple weeks because there's not been a whole lot going on for Arsenal. They've been playing teams that they should beat. But I want to start with Arsenal Fulham, just because Brad's not here, and we're going to talk about a team winning games that they're supposed to win in Arsenal. So I've seen a lot of this talk recently over the last couple weeks is that Arsenal have had the weakest opponent, like strength of schedule opponents so far this year. Um, but they're finding ways to win
On paper,
on
because
paper.
Fulham are better than I told you guys. Fulham was going to be fine this year.
Yeah,
On paper, Fulham is a win,
yeah.
and you
So
managed to find it.
I need to I need to stop picking teams that are going to get relegated because I am just disastrously wrong. I might get one this year in Bournemouth, but I picked Fulham, Bournemouth, and Southampton, and I don't see a world where all three of those teams get relegated anymore. It's been 4.5 games or so, and I can't.
Oh,
I'm just going to stop.
we didn't do sheets 2 years ago of integrity.
I would have
We
been
should
wrong then.
have, because last year you picked Brighton, who finished in the top 10, and this year you picked Fulham, who might finish in the top 10. So, so
It might be a curse. Like the
yeah,
team that I pick is going to finish.
one of the three is going to finish in the top of the table.
But so like there's been
That would be great.
all this chatter on Twitter about how, it's not really that impressive what Arsenal have done so far. They've won the games that they're supposed to, but I think that's Palace beat Palace away. And Palace have been hyper competitive in all the matches they've played. Beat
That's a
Fulham.
good result.
I think so too. Beat Fulham, who
That's a good result.
have been playing really well this year. Fulham beat Brighton today. So like
Fulham,
I
Fulham got a point at Anfield, I believe. I don't think that was at Craven Cottage.
it was at Craven Cottage. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so still they got a point off of Liverpool, which so far is not very impressive. But
It's
by the
impressive.
end of the season, it will be very impressive.
It's still impressive.
And then damn near got a point at Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean,
Like that was a close game.
they took the lead. It was a mistake. So I will say this: Arsenal dominated Fulham. We dominated them. It was a mistake that they scored on, and then within 8 minutes we had established parity. And then it was nervy for the last 20 minutes because Arsenal were certainly pressing for a goal, and it took a corner, like a set piece. We scored on a set piece, and then if Fulham weren't dead at that point, they had opportunities. Ramsdale was forced into at least one kind of impressive save after that. So it wasn't like a foregone conclusion once Arsenal took the lead. Fulham didn't roll over and die. So I'm very happy. When I was initially, I was traveling when the game was taking place, and I couldn't watch it until after the fact. I was in the car, and my wife, the CFO, she was watching the game cast, and she saw that Gabby had scored, and so Gabriel Mangala scored the
Which one? Yeah,
that was exactly my question. I said, well, which one? And it turned out to be the least likely Gabby to score. But hey, I'm happy.
it was his mistake that gave up the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mitrovic, tip to Mitrovic. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're happy. Let's. What about this Fulham, or excuse me, this Forest result? 2 goals, win, 3 points. It's good for Spurs, right?
It just it's my grand takeaway from the game is it's comforting to see that we look comfortable on defense. We don't look panicked. We don't look packed down. We don't look like we're packing the bus.
Which is very different from a year ago. A
Yes,
year ago under Nuno, you guys were very
very
compressed
compact,
and very
very
good
compressed.
defensively, but it
Yep, and
looked.
and look confident.
But
But non-threatening.
okay,
Confident.
yeah,
Confident we're not going to concede. Confident also we're
toothless.
not going to get toothless. Confident also we're probably not going to get it past half field.
Yeah.
So, um, so the first goal was scored on a counterattack where Kane dropped back down as he does a lot. He drops very low and makes a feeder pass. Gets kind of fouled, but the advantage is played. Fair play. Gets up and makes the run. Kulusevski makes the interception, puts the ball back to him, and it almost looked like, honestly, Dean Henderson didn't expect him to take the shot. That's what it looked like when you look at it at a couple of angles. Dean Henderson's just flat-footed, and then all of a sudden he sees the ball coming around, and he's like, "Oh, well," because it was to the far post, and he's covering as near where Kane is, and it almost is. Yeah, that's the way it felt. It was Dean. he's a better goalkeeper than that. To just give him credit if he just got fooled. I don't think Kane's that much more highly, or something was so interfered that he just
That's a good
didn't see
question.
it. I just don't think he expected the shot, and then all of a sudden it was to a point where he knew he couldn't even move because he just looked at it and he was like, "Well, hopefully it's outside the post."
Yeah. I think
um,
that happens to goalies sometimes when they're just caught flat-footed. It shouldn't, but
and
it does.
it does, and there was a moment of intrigue where they split hairs on denying a clear goal scoring opportunity on a set piece that Kane was back post and a little bit inside of it on a header. The Nottingham Forest player goes up in front of him, and if the goal is to this way, this is the hand that hits the ball. Kane's head is right here,
Yeah.
ready to head the ball,
Yeah.
and this hand hits it, and it was clear straight on. All he needed to do was turn it in.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper was 5 feet away. So if that ball gets over his head, it is a goal. So is that denying a clear goal scoring opportunity? I don't know.
Are you talking about for a red card as well?
For a red card,
And penalty.
yes, because it did give a penalty, which Kane got blocked. So
I think that they have gotten rid, or at least I feel like they're trying. Well, at least I know some leagues have gotten rid of the double jeopardy, denial of a goal scoring opportunity, red card, and penalty. So
okay, where he
so
gets all three.
yeah, where you get all
Yeah.
three. It's a red card, a penalty, and basically a goal. So I think that might be why.
Well, he still would have. I mean, there's only going to be one penalty taken, and he missed it anyway.
True.
It got
Yeah.
blocked by Dean Henderson. So that the goal having the hat trick is a moot point because that wouldn't have happened.
Okay.
But it's clearly a red.
Oh.
That's clearly a red.
Yeah. Um.
But
But
anyways,
still, win the
it's
game. Win the game 2-0.
splitting hairs. We
Yeah.
look confident. That's my big takeaway.
Yeah. I think it's good. You guys have who do you guys have?
Got West Ham tomorrow.
West Ham midweek, and then I think Fulham at the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So you got
I believe that's right.
two London
Yeah.
derbies coming up. So you know, two I think winnable games for Spurs, but I don't think
Should be.
they won't be easy in the same sense that Fulham wasn't easy for Arsenal. I think
Well, tomorrow will be easier to pop than bubbles
um,
because they do the little
yeah,
bubbles
the
at the
bubble
beginning.
machine. Yeah, I got you. Because it was all bubbles. Let's
I do want to touch on one more
okay.
before we move on to the big finale. I just wanted to make a quick joke. I don't expect how with the game today, how Newcastle or the game on the weekend, how Newcastle expect to score anything with that attack. They're going with a 14th century attack. They have some guy named Saint Max attacking with a long staff. I mean, this is 600 years removed from when this is supposed to be happening. This guy's got a long staff.
How long have you been working on that joke?
About 30 minutes or so.
You should have told me beforehand, because now I have to change my notes for the timestamps. But that's a good joke. I like that.
They kid.
That's
They got
good.
some ordained saint named Max trying to attack with his long staff, and they think they're going to be a good attacking team in the
Oh.
21st century. It's ridiculous. There's also some wood floating around.
Oh, okay. All right.
Their attack was Saint Max, long staff, and wood.
Was that the passing combination?
Yeah, and I guess I'm gonna keep a roll in it.
Let's talk about.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we're going to. So we're going to talk about Southampton, but we're going to first focus on United and then pivot to Chelsea. And kind of tie that in together. So I watched most of the Southampton United game on Saturday, and I will say that I was very disappointed when Bruno scored his goal, just because it seemed like Southampton were playing very well in that match, and that they had been pretty resolute defensively. I think United were in control of the match, but I don't think that they was so far in control that that they would have felt aggrieved if the game ended 0-0. I thought that Southampton didn't really show a whole lot offensively. Lissandro Martinez had a great game defensively. He gobbled up a lot of corners and just looked really strong defensively. And I think Varane does a lot to steady that back line in terms of getting them composed and like orchestrates from the back. I think that's, he's got a huge amount of experience. But then, I mean, Bruno had a great goal. He got a couple yards of space, got a cross in, and then just took it on the volley and slotted it to the bottom corner. And can't take anything away from it. It was a great goal. And then they see the game out, and they get a victory away. And you look at that on paper, and you're like, okay, I think Manchester United should be winning away at Southampton. You think that the big six clubs should be winning away at Southampton, but a big six club didn't do that today. Chelsea went to Southampton. Now, Chelsea got an impressive result, I will say, at home against Leicester this weekend. They went down to 10 minutes. Conor Gallagher got 2 professional fouls in the first half. Conor Gallagher got 2 professional fouls in the first 30 minutes. And his second professional foul, which got him the second yellow card and sent off, I think was kind of stupid in my opinion. It seemed like the Leicester player would have had to run 80 or 90 yards to score. And I think that there were other players around that would have been able to harass him. And so it just seemed like inexperience. But Chelsea did a really good job of winning that game. Well, maybe I should say Leicester did a really good job of losing that game because they looked. So the first Sterling goal was a deflection, whatever, that happens. But then the second Sterling goal, like they just stopped defending and let Sterling have a tap in from 3 feet away. It was really kind of disappointing. But then you fast forward that to today. Southampton hosted Chelsea today. And I didn't watch it because I was watching the Leeds-Everton game. But Brad was giving us some notes from what he picked up. And that, it was kind of, I guess Reece James was sick today and so didn't play. And he's really looking forward to Fofana finally completing his transfer to Chelsea so that they can, I guess, have another defender. But this to me doesn't seem like it's Chelsea's issue. I mean, like clearly defensively, they've let in 2 goals. But I think that that's more a combination of the fact that their midfield, to me, looks weak. I don't think that they have a lot of stoutness in the middle of the park. And Conte's injured.
Yeah, he did also missing Conte. I have been successively pointing out since week 1 when we played Southampton that this 18-year-old Lavia kid is pretty amazing. He's a central defensive mid for Southampton. If you guys aren't watching him, you need to be. But I believe he's either Dutch or Belgian, and Dutch. He's Dutch.
That sounds right.
And he really, like, on the field as a young player reminds me of like a young Pogba or a young Wanyama on Southampton. He's long, lanky, very comfortable on the ball. If you press him, he's very comfortable maneuvering out of it, very skillful with his feet, and then finds the right pass. And then today, he just happened to be in the right position, scores the goal against Chelsea. Like he just very has a good read of the game. He's in the right spot. He's very comfortable, even when you press him. For a young kid, that's very impressive, and clearly so far is doing very well.
Yeah.
Enough to catch my eye in a loss for Southampton. Enough to catch Chelsea's eye when he scored a goal today.
Yeah, it's
so.
Chelsea, I think, have bigger. There's something rotten about them right now, which, I don't mind. I'm not going to write them off because it's Chelsea. Like they could go on a tear and get healthy again. And I think I said before the season, I thought that Chelsea would have a rough first half of the season and then look really, really dangerous after the World Cup. and I still think I stand by that I think they've had to bring in a huge number of players, and by all accounts it doesn't look like they're done yet, which we'll probably talk about a little bit in the news episode this week, so definitely check back later this week, with the transfer window closing here on Thursday. But it doesn't seem like Chelsea's done in the transfer window. It takes a while if you have to bring in a lot of players, to integrate and really gel and get going together. And so that's why I've said, and I still think that I don't think Chelsea are in a bad place, but I think it will take them a couple months to really get going at a high level.
Yeah.
But that's what we got for the review this week. We would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Tell us about, if you watched a game and we didn't touch on it. If you have some gripes with anything that we've said, we'd love to hear from you in the YouTube comments, or you can reach out to us on Twitter. As always, our Twitter handles, that's at whiteheart_Sean. Not appearing today is at KSBradG. That's Brad. He will definitely interact with you on Twitter. I'm at James Tiffany. We collectively can be reached at redcard_radio. And if you're still listening, you're testing us out for 20 minutes or so. We'd love that subscribe button, follow, so you can check back in with us for the rest of the week.
Turn on that notification.
Yeah, definitely helps the algorithm, all that stuff. Operation Trick Google is still in full effect. So do what we can. But until next time, have a good evening, and we will see you later on this week with the news and then a preview coming up. Take care.